Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 21st edition of Limerick Junior Soccer Focus with myself, Adrian Finnin, and Aidan Ryan this evening. Once again, Aidan, plenty to get through, but we'll start with none other than Fairview Rangers advancing to the quarter-final of the Munster Junior Cup after a penalty shootout victory against Waterford Crystal on Sunday. Josh McCarthy was the hero once again for Fairview, the young goalkeeper who had originally signed with the B team at the start of the season and still is signed with the B team, who saved two penalties. And it wouldn't be the first time for him, obviously, as well. They won a penalty shootout against Ballynanty recently with a similar outcome too. I suppose, obviously, delight is one word to describe it, Aidan, but I'd imagine with everything recently with the FAI exit for Fairview and being behind a bit in the league, that it's a relief getting to the quarter-final of the Munster Junior Cup.
Yeah, they're holders of the competition, Adrian, as we said last week, so very important that they got the victory down there. Tough game for them. Waterford Crystal are a decent side, and must say the team showed a bit of character, I have to say. Went to goal down, came back before half-time, and to win it on penalties, obviously sweet to win it that way. And well done to Josh McCarthy, and lucky that they have a goalkeeper, Adrian, that can step into the breach when your normal number one isn't available. And given the circumstances of the whole week, I'm sure it was nice to come home with the victory, given the tough week they've had. So great victory for them, and great to see three teams in the last 8 of the Munster Junior Cup, Adrian, which is great for football in Limerick. So we'll obviously be hoping now that maybe they avoid each other in the draw, and that we get a few teams further again into the semi-finals.
I know that is the hope. It's constantly the way it is, Aidan, isn't it? Just as we get excited about the fact that there might be a certain amount of Limerick teams, you can always guarantee that there's going to be an all Limerick quarter final.
Yeah, it could happen. We just got to keep the fingers crossed that they avoid each other, because, you know, to be fair, we've three strong teams left in it, Adrian. If you look at the teams that are left in it, we've three very strong teams in regional, Ballynanty and Fairview. So listen, we gotta hope that they avoid each other at least to the semi-final stage. You know, obviously, if they do that, we stand a chance of getting three teams into the last four. There's no doubt about that, with the strength of those three teams.
Yeah, that could be a bumper weekend in Limerick if that managed to happen. So yeah, hopefully that'll be the case. And another team that are in the Munster Junior quarter final from Limerick are Regional United. And I know you were in Doyle on Saturday night when they picked up what we were, you know, calling what would be a statement victory if they managed to beat Ashton-in-Cody. But it was a statement victory considering it was a 3-0 win at home. We had Rory Cassidy with 2 goals, Paddy Hartigan with a goal as well for Regional United. You know, a convincing victory, is it fair to say, Aidan, or does the scoreline just suggest that?
No, a convincing victory. Actually made a game of it maybe in the first half when the score was 1-0. They had a great chance before half-time to equalise. Didn't avail of that. Cassidy added a second goal just on half-time, and it was game over then. It was a stroll in the second half for Regional. I thought they were very comfortable. I thought they managed the game very well, Adrian. Some really good performances again. I thought Owen Duff was very good, even without scoring. Had a couple of chances. Surprised he didn't take them, especially in the first half. He took 3 great opportunities. But his work rate was excellent. His willingness to help the team out when they didn't have the ball. And the usual runs from him, Adrian, channel runs, was opening up the Ashing defence at ease, I thought. Rory Cassidy did very well, took his goals well. And again, very impressed with Stephen Carmody in front of the back four, Adrian. Just given that solid base that they can work off the whole time. And by the end of the match, I thought they were very comfortable. I was disappointed with Ashing again. You know, didn't see a lot of energy on the pitch. Didn't see a formation of play about what they were at. I thought Tony Whitehead was their best player. Certainly kept them going throughout the 90 minutes, probing the whole time, trying to keep the team going. Now, they had a lot of youngsters on the pitch, but by the end of the match, I think they were delighted to see the full-time whistle, because they were well beaten on the night. And we've been looking for Regional to win these games, haven't we, Adrian? You know, we've been questioning what they do in the top 6. They've 8 league wins now. Last year, I think they managed 7 in the whole season. So look at straight away, you're looking at a bit of progress. And what we need them to do now is to make a dent in that top three when they're playing them. And there's definitely a bit of progression there under Sean Russell. So we'll see in the next few league games whether that progression keeps going or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose speaking a bit on Aisling and Aidan, you mentioned that Tony Whitehead was there, an experienced player amongst a relatively young group. Is the performance level, which has swayed up and down since Christmas, something that John Lycett's going to have to accept now? The fact that there's been a sea change in this squad, there's maybe younger players there and players from the B squad there, that there isn't going to be a whole lot of consistency.
Possibly, Adrian. You'd like to think that it wouldn't be that way, given that they have a 2-week cup final to look forward to, that they'd be more consistent with their results. But I saw the game against Fairview, as I've said to you before Christmas, and I was very impressed with what I saw. Now, looking back in that and having seen the game against Pike and having seen the game against Regional, you're wondering, are you getting that little bit of did it just get that little bit of a bounce that night? Given that all the players had left and you had that turnover of players, and then you had these new younger lads coming up, stepping up from the second team, and a few of the youth players and whatever. Did you get that bit of a bounce on the night that night? No, he was without Custrain and Gavin Dillon Saturday night, but given the way Regional performed, I'm not so sure that would have made a huge difference. So a lot of work to be done there, Adrian. Certainly before that 2-week cup final, which is huge for them now, obviously, and it's a chance to win a trophy. But a lot of work to be done between now and then, given what I've seen in the last 2 league games. And the biggest thing that's disappointed me, Adrian, with Aisling, is when they go behind, we're not seeing that response from them. Didn't see the response against Pike really in the game on Sunday of last week, and didn't really see it. Albeit they did miss that vital chance before half time, which would have made a difference if they had scored that against Regional on Saturday night. But a lot of work to do for John Lycett and his backroom staff.
I know you said you felt, Aidan, that the absence of Custrain and Dillon may not have made any difference to the outcome last Saturday. But I suppose going into that 2-week cup final, and for the rest of the season, really, when you're missing players like that, especially considering Custrain has hit the ground running back at junior level, there are two players really that John Lycett really can't afford to miss at the moment, and the likes of Tony Whitehead as well on top of that.
No, agreed. He'll need those players in the team. They will bring a level of experience that he needs, given that the players around him are players stepping up from Premier A, and obviously some new players mixed in. You also obviously have Liam Quinn there, who I felt looked a frustrated figure on Saturday night. Looked very frustrated with what was going on around him. But certainly a lot of work to do with the team. We'll need those four or five experienced players in the team to help the rest of the squad. But wasn't impressed with what I saw in the last couple of games, Adrian. There's no point in covering over those cracks. Yeah,
and I suppose a team that could have really done with a victory and got it maybe surprisingly, Aidan, was Nina on Sunday. They beat Ballynanty. I suppose it was going so well for Ballynanty that they were probably always going to have a result blip, maybe even if it is only a one-off. Last weekend, it was actually Aidan White scoring the goal for Nina after being set up from good work from Adam Ryan. So considering that they had a glut of games against Pike Rovers, of which they didn't come out the right side of the results, you lose to Avondale in the Munster Junior. Balla are certainly not the team you want to be looking at after that run. So good character, kept a clean sheet. Happy days on the day, I suppose, even though it is only one game for Killian Fitzpatrick.
A fantastic result, no doubt about it, Adrian. But maybe we shouldn't be surprised, Adrian, because they've done a bit of damage to Ballynanty this year. Now Balla have taken 1 point out of 6 after the draw in the first round game. So Nina have something in the locker in terms of playing Balla. There's no doubt about it. By all accounts, Balla were on top a lot during the game, but Nina got that goal, whatever it was, 20 minutes in time, and it was enough. They saw it out and managed the game and saw it out. It's a fantastic 3 points. They're up to 21 points in the league now, Adrian. I think they're tucked in behind Aisling, aren't they?
Yeah, it's very close now.
You have Regional on 25. So all of a sudden now, these are the results we're looking for. we're looking for Nina. We were looking for Nina and Regional to make an imprint in that top 6 this year. And in these last few matches, they have done that. And all of a sudden now they're looking at a position where they might be in a position, either of them, to finish maybe 4th this year, possibly even 3rd. Who knows? The result, very disappointing for Ballynanty, who definitely would have aspirations in the league. I was surprised with the lineup, Adrian. Saw a few players left out.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a few niggles there. I know that Josh Adams was carrying an injury, possibly Thomas Burns, but no James Fitzgerald, no Habidine up front. If you want to win leagues, I think you've got to be playing these players. So I would certainly question why those players were left out. They still have a chance of winning the league.
Are you firmly in the basket, I suppose, or sorry, what should I say? Are you firmly in the court, Aidan, of the league is your bread and butter? Because I suppose you'll have that argument, won't you, from everyone saying they're a week out from the game against Killarney FAI Cup quarter final. I suppose that would only stand up if they had a game maybe midweek last week, Aidan. There has been plenty of time. If those players now, I don't know what's going on in terms of player injuries, obviously, but if it was a case of leaving players out, they would have had plenty of time to prepare for Killarney. There was no need to rest anyone anyway, so it probably wouldn't stand up as much.
Yeah, well, I would be in the pack that would say that you play your strongest team, Adrian. I mean, if you have a chance of winning a league, it's a long time since Ballynanty won a league, so if you have a chance of winning that league, you play your strongest team. Now, we don't know what's going on in the background. Maybe focusing on different things. We've also said they have a decent squad, and that squad have been getting plenty of game time. But if you're leaving out players the quality of Habidine and James Fitzgerald in a big league game, and I consider that a big league game, because it would have taken Balla into 2nd spot in the league if they had won it, onto 29 points within shouting distance of Pike, who they have to play a couple of times as well. So I would have been going for it. Go out and try and win the game. If you are winning the game, you need to take a couple of players off. By all accounts, do it. But as I said, we don't know what's going on in the background. I know that Josh Adams was injured. Not too sure about the other players. But I would have played my strongest team. And you're also giving them good game time ahead of the big game again next week. And these are all big games, Adrian. I mean, the Nina game is a big game as well. So go out and treat it as such.
Yeah, Nina and Regional United are the two teams we focused on, because you had a top 4 to bottom 2 split effectively in the last 6, which we have publicised on a lot of occasions, and it has been spoken about from my own experience within those dressing rooms in a small degree that of maybe yourself questioning, can they make an imprint? So there might be a relative small bit of smugness from Nina and Regional to say that they are making that impact now. I suppose the big thing for them though is, can they do it on a regular basis, and can they continue on and being really competitive against those teams? Because it wasn't the case of they just weren't getting results. There was sometimes where there was a couple of beatings handed out. That's not the case this year, and as I said, long may that continue. Yeah,
we need that, Adrian, in our league. I mean, look, it's well on record. I'm not in favour of the top 6, bottom 6.
Yeah.
But if you have a bottom 6 or a top 6, we want it as competitive as possible. We don't want it being a 3 or a 4 team, inverted commas, top 6. We want it being a top 6. We want those teams having a go at the teams at the top of the league, like Pike and Fairview and Ballynanty. And these two teams at the moment, Regional and Nina, have hinted to us with recent results that they're going to have a go, at getting results and making a dent and making it hard for these teams to win these leagues. And that's what we want. We want them improving with every game, week in, week out, so that in the next year or two, Adrian, that they're putting themselves in a position that they might be title contenders, and that we're not relying on the same 2 or 3 every year. That our league is we profess our league to be one of the best in the country, Adrian. So let's see it. Let's see these teams put it up to the Pikes and the Fairviews and the Ballas. That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the case. I suppose to move on our focus now to the bottom 6 section. Aidan, you mentioned there that you're well on record as not agreeing with the top and bottom 6. Crew Park have bolted out in front now in the race for 7th, or if we were to take your opinion on it, maybe a slow jog to 7th position at the end of the season. But they did have a convincing 3-0 win over Charleville with Kieran Hanlon and Aaron Noonan among the scorers on the day as well. I have to say I was surprised with the scoreline. it's been a tough week, hasn't it, for Charleville? I mean, you go out and you lose 5-0 in your semi-final of the Two-Week Cup on Thursday night, and then you lose 3-0 away against Crewe Park on the Sunday. It's a bitter pill to swallow in some regards.
Yeah, it's a tough week for Adam Castle and the lads out there, but I'm not surprised by the results, Adrian, and I'll tell you why, because Crewe Park got out a decent squad, had a strong first 11. Now, fair enough, we questioned the fitness, but I've said to you before that when Crewe Park get ahead in matches, they'll know how to, especially these matches, they'll know how to manage them. They'll know how to see them out once they get ahead. And, on 23 points in the league now, certainly in pole position to maybe get another couple of results and win that coveted shield, Adrian, for finishing 7th.
I was bitterly disappointed to see Charleville on the opposite end, but we all know it can change very quickly in this league, Aidan.
Absolutely. And listen, I had Janesborough tipped. I felt that with Shane in the second half of the season, bringing Shanahan and bringing in a few players, I thought Janesborough would show the necessary improvements to maybe finish top of that pile. Albeit I did mention Crewe Park that if they held their act together and held their squad together, that with the experience they have, they would be contenders for that shield. But it's still wide open yet. And as we said before, teams can get drawn into that relegation battle very quickly. And another big important league game coming up on Sunday between Coon and Charleville.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one that we will discuss in due course, Aidan. But to move on to the biggest game of the weekend will involve Ballynanty Rovers, as we already discussed. Treaty United will be playing Kerry FC on Friday night in Mountock Park in Tralee. And then on Saturday in Killarney, you'll see Ballynanty Rovers. So a big weekend for Limerick sides in Kerry this weekend. Goes without saying, Aidan, it's a massive game for Ballynanty Rovers, and they'll be looking to really prove their credentials for this FAI Cup and make a statement win travelling away to Killarney here. There is a lot of people that are fancying Balla to come out on the right side of the result.
You have to make them favourites again, Adrian. They've been going well in this FAI, keeping a lot of clean sheets. Had that blip last Sunday, but that could be huge motivation for the management team during the week of training, given they've had that blip, Adrian. And it isn't many teams that will hold Balla scoreless, given the talent they had from midfield up. So Nina did a fantastic job in that respect. Hard to know what to make out of Killarney, Adrian. Have lost a lot of players.
They've lost 3-4 players at least to Kerry, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, they lost their top scorer, Steve McCarthy, just after their brilliant win against Peakville in the FAI. Yeah. I mean, they've beaten Tala away 3-0 in the FAI. Beaten Peak, who, as you know, beat Pike Rovers in the FAI. They beat Peakville 1-0. Steve McCarthy got that goal. They've lost Ryan Kelleher, who's also front runner. They lost the Croatian lad, Typer Krajcak, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Who's a big unit, big 6'2" unit, and was scoring a lot of goals from. So I'm not so sure what to make out of them, but they seem to have recovered well. They beat Castle Island in the which the equivalent of their Lawson Cup, which is the Greyhound Cup, last Friday night, 5-0. Beat Camp United 3-2 the week before that in the Greyhound Cup as well. And they've recovered well from earlier on the season, Adrian, because it's not well known that they were hammered in the Champions League trophy. They were hammered by Villa FC 8-0.
Yeah, so, and also got a bad loss against Killarney Athletic, I believe, as well early in the season. Ed.
Right, yeah. So they've made a good recovery from then, and they still have a couple of experienced players there. I know from my time with Janesborough when we lost in the last 8 of the FAI a few years ago. They still have the captain John McDonough. They still have Lee Downing, Lee Carey, Brendan Falvey. So still a bit of experience there. So hard to call the game. Will be a tough fixture. Be a massive crowd there Friday evening, 5 o'clock kickoff. Massive crowd.
Yeah. That was one thing I mentioned with you, actually, Aidan. You alluded to it. I think I was going to mention that anyway. I do remember seeing that game. I think it was 5, maybe 6 years ago nearly now, where you played them in the quarterfinal of the FAI, and it was a monumental crowd really for an FAI Junior Cup game, because I think there was a live video of the game, and you could see the crowd. So you'd be expecting a ferocious crowd for 5 o'clock, as you said, on a Saturday, which would be an optimum time to watch a game. Yeah,
I have a video of the match, Adrian, which as you can imagine, I don't watch too much for obvious reasons. But there was just under 2,500 at the match, so that will give you a glimpse of the potential that Killarney Celtic have in terms of drawing crowds. And I don't expect as big a crowd as that for this game Saturday, but they will get a huge crowd for this. You could have well up of 1,000, 1,500 at this game, because Bella will bring a fine crowd down to it as well. So there should be a fabulous atmosphere there, and it'll be a feisty occasion. And they'll be doing well to get out of it with a win, but they have loads of talent. And they've been going well this season. They've been keeping clean sheets, which is vital in these games, Adrian. You get into that habit of keeping clean sheets, and you have the talent you have up front, you have a chance of winning matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do wish Ballynanty the best of luck. Maybe a few Ballynanty supporters will be looking to make a weekend out of it in Killarney. It might be a happy weekend on a Saturday night. Who knows? To move back to a game you alluded to earlier, which was Charleville taking on Coonagh. That's also Saturday night at 7 o'clock out in Charleville. I suppose, look, it's important now for Charleville. You're talking about them stopping a rut, after, conceding 8 goals in 2 games and not scoring any. It'll be vital for them at home to beat Coonagh, because then if you lose to Coonagh, they also jump ahead of you, and you're looking maybe over your shoulder a tiny bit if Munster or Janesborough win in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, you would have to say you're looking at Crew Park being safe now on 23 points.
Yeah.
Another result should do them. The winners of this game, I think, will be safe as well, because all they need is maybe another point or 3 points after that. Been a tough time for Charleville. Adrian, you're dead right. Haven't won in 3 games. Lost to Balla 2-0. Obviously, got a bit of a pasting in the second half of Pike to lose 4 or 5-0, I think, wasn't it? And then losing 3-0 again on Sunday. So they'll have their work cut out to get a result out here. Coonagh lost their last league game as well. Didn't score and generally don't score a lot of goals. And you're kind of looking at this game saying it has all the makings of a 0-0 draw, aren't you? Given what's gone on the last few weeks. But whoever wins this game will be in pole position to be safe. So it'll be a vital game, won't it? And I'm sitting on the fence with a draw, obviously. But whoever can grab the 3 points, if someone's brave enough to go out and grab the 3 points, they'll be well on the way to safety in the division, won't they? Yeah,
absolutely. It is a huge game. It can't be underestimated, that's for sure. With the small matter of the Lawson Cup to overview now, the quarterfinals of the Lawson Cup. There's 3 Premier A sides and one 1A side taking on Premier Division opposition. You've Kilmallock at home against Regional United. Kilmallock are mid-table in Premier A. Knockany having an absolutely monumental ask for them really to play Fairview Rangers at home. In their quarterfinals. A great achievement actually for a 3rd-tier side to get to that stage of the competition. Munster Regional taking on Geraldines. That looks like it may be a close game considering the form of the 2 sides, although Munster have won 2 of their 3 games since come back for Christmas. And then you have Newport taking on Pike Rovers. Pike had a convincing win against Newport earlier on in the season actually as well. So you'd be expecting Aidan the 4 Premier sides to go through in this competition, which would make for exciting semi-finals. But obviously you're just in one way you'd be hoping for at least a close game in every game.
You would.
Don't expect it, by the way.
Yeah, obviously the game that stands out is Munster and Geraldines, really. I watched Geraldines last Sunday for obvious reasons. I was down watching the match against Art Lunkard and played some lovely football at times and some very good performers. Adam Dorr really played some brilliant stuff. Lovely wing play. Jack McGarry, centre half. I thought he was excellent for Geraldines. Keeper very solid for them. So they will give Munster a match for sure. Munster's going into the game on the back of a very good league victory recently. So that seems to be the standout game to me, Adrian. You'd expect the other sides to come through, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah, you certainly would. Aidan, I suppose, Kilmallock, by their own standards, Aidan, Premier A, so they haven't had a good season in Premier A by their own standards. I think they're 11 points off the top. Normally are perennially strong in Premier A, but maybe it hasn't worked out that way for obvious reasons. But they'll be seeing this as a huge opportunity against Regional. Maybe looking at Regional saying they might be taking their eye off the ball with Munster Junior and League to contend with.
Yep, it's a possibility, but the one thing about Kilmallock, a bit like Charleville, Adrian, play lovely football. Have always played lovely football, lovely ground football, like they play out from the back. Don't really mix their game too much. And, I think Regional will have too much for them. The Regional are so physically strong. And I feel Sean Russell will use this as a run out for a couple of players as well. But they have a decent squad and should be strong enough to get over this. Bit the same as Newport. I think they're a bit like Kilmallock. I think they'll just concede too many goals. You look at Newport last week, conceding 3 goals to Herberstown. So I'd expect Pite to get through that game comfortably enough as well.
Well, everyone heard it here first. I was trying to provide glimmers of hope for the lower league sides, but Aidan Ryan has just crushed any chance of that hope building. But obviously, it'll be a very interesting weekend. As I said, we wish the Limerick side, Ballynanty, the best of luck in the quarter-final of the FAI, and we hope to be flying the Limerick flag in the semi-final of the competition. We'll have plenty to discuss again next week on the Limerick Junior Soccer Focus. Plenty to discuss for next week, obviously, as well. So my thanks once again to Aidan Ryan for joining us, and we hope you can join us next